You're watching an amazing podcast from an amazing podcast company.
Hello, Mob Associates. Johnny Ciccatelli here with Jimmy Naples, back for another edition of Youngstown Mob Talk. We're coming to you live from downtown Youngstown, Ohio, aka Crime Town, USA. Well, first, Jim, welcome back for another Mob Talk.
Absolutely, glad to be back. Love doing these. It's always good.
Yeah, and first of all, thank you to everybody who's in our Youngstown Mob group. We've got almost 30,000 members. So there's an option on Facebook where you can actually invite your friends.
Yeah.
So we really encourage everyone in the group, please click that, invite people who may not be a part of the group, who may not know about the group yet. Let's get up to 30,000 members, because if we do, we're going to give away a pretty cool item. We don't want to give it away right now, it's a surprise, but we'll pick a random Mob Associate, Youngstown Mob member, and we will give you a great prize once we hit 30,000 members. So please continue to share the group, invite the group, tell your friends and family about it, and get everybody to join.
Absolutely, we got to get there. We're at 29,800.
Wow.
So we're there. We only need 200 more to get to that 30,000 mark. A lot of great posts, though. We have members that we have some members that post. Man, they post every day.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'd like to see some of these other people that don't post all the time posting some stuff. That would be great.
Yeah.
But to each their own.
Yeah. And if you're new to the Youngstown Mob group, we've got a few rules. First of all, we don't like spam, right? So if you see a spam account, like a bot or something that's clearly like a fake thing, looking for, they're hiring. They always say they're hiring, or they're trying to sell the same T-shirt over and over again.
Yeah.
We flag those. You can report those to the admins. Jimmy and I are admins in that group. We'll delete it. We'll whack them from the group pretty quick.
Right.
And we'll move on. So please just help us keep the group all about the Youngstown Mob. That's the other thing, is there's plenty of groups about Youngstown. Right. Great groups. There's Downtown Youngstown. There's I'm So Youngstown.
Yeah.
Original Youngstown West Side. There's a lot of great Youngstown groups on Facebook that have nothing to do with the mob. So if you have a general post, where you're just kind of posting about something, some place you used to go to as a kid or whatever in Youngstown, that's great. Save it for those other groups, because we have a rule in this one which is all about Youngstown Mob. So if it's not about something affiliated with the Youngstown Mob, but Cleveland member, Pittsburgh member, maybe a guy from Buffalo who came into town, maybe it's an old bar or strip club that the mob used to operate or used to go to or hang out at, any of that stuff's fine. As long as it's somewhat related to the group topic, we'll keep it up. But if you're wondering, hey, I posted something, why is my post gone? Yeah. It probably broke one of those rules. Keep it clean. That's another rule we have. So, we got a lot of people in this group, almost 30,000 people. So, hey, keep it respectful, keep it clean, and we appreciate it. So we got a lot of great posts. We're going to get to our post of the week here soon. But before we do, I want to thank our sponsor, Youngstown Tile. If you're looking for spectacular flooring, there's one place to go. Go bold, go local, go Youngstown Tile.
At Youngstown Tile Retail Design Center, we're your local leaders in residential flooring and luxury home projects. We have proudly served our customers in the local community for over 70 years. We carry top brands such as Dow Tile, Mafia, Schluter Systems, and many more. At Youngstown Tile Retail Design Center, we want to help bring your renovation ideas to life. For quality service, quality products, best-in-class customer service. Go bold, go local, go Youngstown Tile.
Mob Associates, let's get into our post of the week. So this week, what do we have, Johnny, in our post of the week?
Well, we got Frankie Fazline, who's been one of our recipients of Post of the Week before.
Yeah.
Frankie, we love when you post. Frank posted this week, I do not agree with the Mafia being classified as the mob. Mob are groups of radical individuals performing criminal acts at a given times and at given places. Having been a friend and associated with Lenny, he's talking about Lenny Strollo here, for over 40 years, I've never seen or heard of any made Mafia members from Big Dom until the present using mob, large group, tactics to accomplish anything. Lenny and other MAID members would insulate themselves from potential criminal activity. Never underestimate the wisdom of those old-timers. Some of their mistakes were made because the wrong choices and bad advice. The demise of the Mafia in Mahoning County is the perfect example. All right, so thank you, Frank, for that post. Good conversation starter. Had a few thousand post reach, a lot of comments and stuff. So, it's a good conversation starter.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you call it the mob? Do you call it the Mafia? Do you call it something else? What do you think?
I get where he's coming from in his post, right?
Yeah.
Because when we think of mob mentality, right, we think of a whole group,
Yeah.
all the things you're seeing in the news today,
Sure.
when it's these large groups that just form and large criminal activity, right? It's not.
Yeah, whether they're raiding some Walgreens in California and stealing everything off the shelf and running away, or they're breaking into the U.S. Capitol or whatever. You always hear this mob broke in here, or this mob did this. Yeah.
And so I get that. I get where he's coming from. But I also think at the same time, I think some of us that are, that jump into the Mafia, La Cosa Nostra. I mean, there's so many different names for it, right?
Yeah. This thing of ours. Yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of too almost to whatever your preference is, right? Whether you call it the Mafia, the mob, La Cosa Nostra. I've been known when we're having these discussions, sometimes I'll refer to it as the Mafia. Sometimes I'll refer to it as La Cosa Nostra. So it just depends. I think it's more of a preference myself, but.
Yeah, it's funny because I think it's just kind of the word mob, and I get what Frank means. Frank means in a very literal sense.
Right.
Right? The definition of the word mob, right? And I understand that, Frank. I think it's more of just the common term that's used, more of a blue-collar kind of term used to describe a mobster, right? So, and that's another thing, the word mobster.
Right.
You wouldn't say somebody ransacking, some store, 50 people running into a store shoplifting. I would not really call those people mobsters.
Right.
So it's a little bit strange, how the etymology of these words go.
Right.
But, I really just think the word mob is a commonly, it became associated with the Mafia.
Right.
But it's just kind of a blue-collar term that people use to describe it. I think most people understand that that's what it means.
Right.
They don't take it so literal. But I do understand what he's saying. In his post, he refers to it as the Mafia.
Right.
Now, we know for decades that the actual mobsters hated that term, Mafia. They would say, Mafia, what is this Mafia?
Yeah, what is this? Right.
Mafia is a word that was created by law enforcement, they'll say, or something to negatively, term them. So
they always refer to it. How did they? A lot of them refer to it as this neighborhood organization.
Yeah, right? or the family.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
It was more of it's more of an Italian neighborhood organization. You know? We're not the mob. What's this Mafia, right? So I get it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, if you look at some of the words that were used, back in the 50s, 60s, and 70s. Look how their terms have changed, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you could look at, a good one is the word gay, right? Back in the 30s, 40s, and 50s, if somebody said they were gay, it meant they were happy.
Yeah.
Now somebody says they're gay, it means they're on the other side of the fence, right? So words and meanings change over time, and we see that with a lot of words today. That's
true. So I'd say to put a button on that, Frank. I understand what you're saying, and if you're taking things very literal, it doesn't maybe line up with what the Mafia is. But then again, they hated the word Mafia, so terms change. I think that word's become a lot more acceptable now, Mafia.
Yeah.
But it changes over time, so everything changes. But we appreciate that post. It's a great post of the week, and it's a good conversation starter. That's what we're looking for. Post things. We're looking for pictures. We're looking for stories, polls, conversation starters, questions, anything you have.
Absolutely.
Gets the group to interact, gets them talking. So that'll be pretty good.
Yeah, that's one thing I got to say. Our members do a good job of putting stuff in there that starts conversations. Right?
Yeah, it's true.
It's not so much as just you go look, okay, on to the next thing. Almost every time you go in here and somebody posts something, there's something there to start a conversation, which is great.
Exactly.
And I think that's what keeps the group alive. It keeps it moving, and and keeps it relevant.
All right, so we do have some things to tell you about we're working on. We can't announce anything yet because we don't have the final dates. But we've got a huge live show planned towards the end of the year. We can tell you that. And so everybody's been asking, when are we going to do our next show? When are we going to do our next show? End of the year, fourth quarter of 2023. But we will announce as soon as we have the dates and everything locked in. Yeah. We're also finishing up the details on this lecture series. Maybe it's going to be 4 weeks, 5 weeks. We're trying to figure that out too. But that'll be in the summertime. So you'll be seeing a lot of those dates, a lot of our events coming up. Our Youngstown Mob Tour app almost done. We've been working hard behind the scenes. You don't know him, but there's a guy behind the camera right now named Pat Palma. He's really been great. He's a member of our team here at Amazing Podcast Company and Youngstown Mob Talk. He's been helping me with this app. This app is almost done, so we can't wait to share that with you. Probably summertime it'll be ready to download. So besides that, we got, of course, the merch. Where do people get the merch?
You can get the merch at steelvalleysyndicate.myshopify.com. Make sure you go and grab some of this awesome merch. I got the hoodie on. Johnny, you got the T-shirt on. I got to thank Pat again, and I also have to thank my wife, Brandy Naples. Those two have come up with some awesome designs for these clothes. Yeah. So please support their work by going and purchasing some merch because both of them put in a ton of work behind the scenes, and we got to thank them for that.
Yeah, so appreciate you guys' help, Pat and Brandy. Big shout out to you guys. That leads us to our next segment in the show here. I think we're going to go from the files, take a look from the files. What do you think?
Yeah, let's take a look and see what we got from the files. From the files this week, we're going to be talking about Joey Naples and an investigation that was taken to the grand jury to try to indict him around like 1983, 1984. And the charges that they were trying to get were bribery, gambling, and possession of stolen property. So when we look at this, these files here, we go in and we see that they were investigating not only Joey Naples, but they were also investigating Paul Hankish. And as we saw with our last Mob Talk when we had author Paul Hodos on, he explained to us about the ties between Paul Hankish, Joey Naples, and the Pittsburgh La Cosa Nostra. So this file here, as I said, is a chance for Cleveland and Pittsburgh to present information to a federal grand jury for the purposes of indicting Joey Naples. And these are dated back from 1984. This file here is it's about 50 pages, as you can see. And one of the memorandums that we have here, of course, refers to the subject as Joseph Naples Jr., doing business as Youngstown United Music Incorporated. This here RICO is for a bribery charge, and this is dated from 7/2 of 81, this memorandum. And it says, for information of receiving offices, subject is the leading organized crime figure in the Youngstown, Ohio area. He reportedly has ties with the Pittsburgh La Cosa Nostra family of Sebastian John LaRocca, and Naples is closely tied with James Prado, a soldier in the LaRocca family who owns and operates, of course, the Calamar restaurant, which is located in Beaver Township. The Calamar and the Stardust Motel, which is located next to the Calamar, those have been routinely used as a meeting places for Naples, Prado, and other organized crime figures. A recent article from a Cleveland Plain Dealer reported that Prado, and a name that's been redacted, may have been involved in a 1979 scheme to rig a special election in Beaver Township in the precinct in which Prado, the other name which is redacted, and I believe that to be possibly Strollo, and other Naples associates own motels, restaurants, lounges, and truck stops. Of the many questionable election practices reported in the article, and then they block some of this out. And like I said, I will post this in there, and you can see how heavily redacted some of this stuff is. And so that's kind of this stuff. It basically goes into detail of the Mercedes-Benz, the VIN number, where it was bought, the dealership, who the dealership's run by, and associates and things like that. Very interesting article to read from the files. So we'll definitely put this in there. There's other things in here like a copy of the application for a title from West Virginia. And then, of course, it goes on to talk about how this vehicle actually started out in North Carolina, where it originally was, they believe it was originally titled. And then it went from North Carolina to a dealership in New Jersey. A dealership in New Jersey sold the car to a dealership in Florida, and then the dealership in Florida sold it to the Auto Ranch in Wheeling. From the files, let's get back to the show.
All right, great job, Jim. That was great. It kind of reminds me too of, it ties back to last week's episode. We had author Paul Hodos on. Of course, another reminder, Paul Hodos wrote a book that just came out last week called Steel City Mafia, all about the Pittsburgh family.
Yeah.
So, that reaches into Paul Hankish as well, and Joey Naples and everybody. So, again, the Pittsburgh family really controlled western Pennsylvania, parts of West Virginia, eastern Ohio. They really had a huge control.
Absolutely. And we're going to find a lot of this. We're going to see a lot of these guys as we dive into these files every week. We're going to start seeing these crossovers of even guys from Pittsburgh working with guys from Cleveland and things like that. So yeah. I'm kind of excited to bring this to people because I think there's always been this misconception, right, that all these families are separate and insular to themselves, right? But they're not. Yeah. They all kind of work together in one way or another. We've seen ties to Detroit, Cleveland, Pittsburgh, Buffalo, Rochester, Scranton, Philly, the big five families in New York, out in California. And then you see this explosion, right?
Yeah.
And I think kind of what we've been doing here with our Youngstown Mob Talk, kind of picking up where some of these other people had started, like the Gangland Wire and different podcasts like that. I think what we've been doing has kind of sparked another a revived interest in the mob, because you see all these new groups starting up. There's a new group that started up for Buffalo. There's one from Denver now.
That's great.
And so I think we've kind of sparked an interest across the country, to be honest with you.
Good,
just with what we've been doing.
That's good because there's a lot of history that's just hasn't been told out there for a lot of these smaller families. Even like you mentioned, Denver. Nobody talks about the Denver family. So that'd be great. I think I might join that group just to get a little more background. But definitely we're interested to hear what you guys want to hear about. So send us an email to steelvalleysyndicate@gmail.com. Send us your thoughts. Send us suggestions, files, whatever you want to send us.
Yeah.
Send us anything. We'll talk about it, and we'll go from there.
Even post it in the group. If you got a question that you're not sure of, say, hey, I was curious about this. Does anybody have any more information that they can give me? And, a lot of times that starts a huge conversation, and next thing you know, 10,000 people are looking at your post because everybody wants to get in on the conversation.
That's right. All right, guys. I think that's going to wrap it up today. We'll keep it short and sweet, but until next time, thank you to our sponsor again, Youngstown Tile. They've been great to us. For spectacular flooring, go bold, go local, go Youngstown Tile. And Jimmy, I think that's going to wrap it up. You got any closing thoughts here?
No, I just want to thank everybody. All the support that we get from the community. It takes a lot for us to do these. We got a lot of people behind the scenes. It's not just me and you sitting here doing this.
That's true.
Like we said, we've got Pat, we've got my wife Brandy, we've
Eric,
got Eric,
Omar. Yeah.
Omar. We got a lot of people, working behind the scenes. So the support is much needed, because if we had to do this all ourselves, we'd probably die of a heart attack by now. But
yeah, so we appreciate your help.
Yeah.
We appreciate your support, and keep the thoughts, suggestions, comments. Keep it all coming. We appreciate it.
Till next time, Jimmy Naples, Johnny Ciccatelli. Ciao.
That was an amazing podcast from an amazing podcast company. If you enjoyed the show, please click the like and subscribe buttons and share it with your friends. It goes a long way in helping us produce more amazing content.